In this video, I'll be teaching you about poking. I'll go over what is a poke, and I'll teach you 7 variations of poking that you could do in your flow today. If you're new to my channel, my name's Sergio. They call me LucyDrop in the gloving community, and my channel's focus is on gloving. If you're interested in learning how to glove or how to create better gloving content, please consider subscribing. So what is a poke? Poking is the action to prod or push with something narrow or pointed. This could be a finger, an arm, or a foot, but because we're sticking to the basics of gloving, we're gonna focus on our fingers. Now that you know what a poke is, here are 7 poking variations that you can add to your flow. The first variation is basic pokes. To do the basic pokes, all you have to do is put one hand facing your viewer and get your finger, this one will be my pointer, and stick it in between the gaps of your hand. Feel free to do this with any finger, not just your pointer. You could do it with your middle, you could do it with your ring, and you can do it with your pinky. Once you get comfortable poking with your hand facing the viewer, rotate your hand so your palm faces yourself, and then poke your hand with your palm facing yourself. When experimenting with this basic poking variation, make sure to rotate your hand 90 degrees in different directions in order to unlock different poking variations to the viewer's perspective. For the second poking variation, I'll go over multi-finger poking. For the second variation, we're gonna start the same way we did the last exercise, but instead of using one finger, we're gonna use 2. Once you get comfortable poking with 2 fingers in multiple angles, make sure to add 3, 4, or even 5 fingers to really experiment different possibilities with multi-finger poking. For the third variation, we'll go over hooks. In order to perform a hook, all you have to do is when you're in a poke, bend at the knuckle in order to hook your finger to your hand. Hooking is a great way to transition or pivot from one move to another. You may use hooking with single finger pokes or multi-finger pokes. So experiment with hooking in order to unlock a variety of different moves in your arsenal of gloving. For our fourth variation, we'll talk about poking while tutting. In order to poke while tutting, simply poke through any tutting gesture that you decide to use. Some examples of poking while tutting to get your brain working is poking around your pointer, poking around your pinky, poking around your thumb, and even poking around the fingers that you rest flat during your tutting gestures. For the 5th variation in our list, we're going over dial poking. If you're not sure what a dial is, I'll make sure to leave a link to my last video so you can learn what is a dial and how to practice dials. This variation is pretty self-explanatory. All you really have to do is dial in between the gaps of your fingers. For a little extra sauce, try using a compression and dial with all 4 fingers. For our 6th variation, I'll be going over threads. Some of our new gen glovers will refer to threads as braids. So feel free to call it whatever you want, call it a braid, call it a thread, but this is what I'm gonna be reviewing today because it is a form of poking. A thread is basically doing a finger roll in between the gaps of your fingers in order to poke through while you're doing a finger roll. My favorite way to execute this move is by using my pointer fingers and crossing them together. I'll then rotate my fingers 3 times and then spread my fingers open into a thread. You can do this move going upwards, you can do it to your right, or you can do it to your left. Alright, congratulations to you for making it this far. We've reached the 7th variation and our final variation of today's video. For our final variation, we'll go over whip pokes. In order to complete this variation, you need to master compressions. Once again, if you don't know what a compression is, I'll leave you a link to one of my previous tutorials so you can learn what a compression is. In order to complete this variation, we need to poke with our thumb. Once our thumb is poked through a compression, we're gonna spread our fingers and use our thumb to pivot a whip around our hand. When pivoting your whip around your compression, make sure to grab each side of your compression to form a circle. Once your circle is formed, you can choose to pull it out and rotate it into different positions to play with the perception of the viewer. Once you get this motion down, remember to cycle through your compressions in order to mix it up for the viewer's enjoyment. Change the perspective in order to play with the depth perception of the viewer. These poking variations will help you with transitions and help you implement depth perception into your shows. We'll dive deeper into depth perception in a later video. In this video, I taught you about poking. I taught you what is a poke, and I taught you 7 variations on how to use poking in your shows. If you got value out of this video, make sure to like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when I post another video like this in the future. And remember, if you want to help me grow this channel, I have a link in the description to my gloving apparel store so you can represent the gloving community at your next rave. Or simply just use my code LucyDrop for 10% off your next purchase at Amazing Lights, Futuristic Lights, Throw Lights, Candy Creations, or iHeart Raves. Every dollar I make from this channel will be reinvested to the business, whether that's paying designers for new designs, hosting giveaways, or increasing production value. Everything will go back to this. So thank you guys again for supporting this channel. Until next time, peace.